What was your first conversation with him after the press conference like, Larry?
I really don't know about that one. I always was pretty honest with Alan, and he was pretty honest with me. He's made me a better person and a better coach. He lives in Charlotte right now, and I'm staying here with my grandkids. I can't get back to New York with my family, but we were always open and honest with each other. There were things. I think as a coach, it's really important that people know what you expect from them, and you're completely upfront and tell them exactly how you feel. So if I felt Alan wasn't doing things the right way, I would tell him. I didn't even comment after that press conference one way or another, if I remember correctly. But I can't tell you how many people to this day talk to me about that. I brought Alan back to speak to some of my teams, and it's almost incredible to hear the respect the young players have for Alan. And that was my biggest challenge with him all the time. I always felt he could have such an impact on young people if he just would realize how much they loved him and the things he needed to do better. And we were open and honest about it. But to remember, what I said after that press conference to him, I really believe I didn't even mention it.
No kidding, because I would imagine that would fracture a relationship. I mean, the media reaction, obviously, and the fan reaction, and him basically saying, I understand what Coach is saying, and he was very he did say nothing but, nice things about you, even in that very press conference. But, here you are trying to get him to be accountable, off the game night court, and him basically scoffing at the notion of practice being important. That seems to be something that would fracture a relationship.
I don't think it did. Everything that ever happened between me and Alan, always made our relationships better. I used to tease him all the time. I'd get a call from his mentor, and I used, I'm going to be a little late today, or I might not be at practice today. And I used to tease Alan. I said, how many times has Deuce, his young son, gone to the hospital because he fell down unexpectedly? I used to count them all. And to be honest with you, personally, when he didn't practice, I was kind of happy.
Come on.
And I used to tell him all the time, there was one thing, when you're a coach and you coach a talent like him, and you coach somebody that goes out every single day and every single possession to try to win the game, that gets hit and banged around and never complains. The only time he ever complained to me is when I took him out of a basketball game. But my admiration for him was unbelievable. My frustration was unbelievable as well because, I thought he could have been the very best forever. And I thought if he would have approached it a little bit differently, then he could have been even better than he really was. And, when you're a coach, that's something that eats on you. And, watching this Last Dance,
yes,
where we're hearing about Michael and how hard he worked and the respect he had for his teammates and his will to win, those are things, I believed Alan really had. And then, unfortunately, when Kobe passed away, we hear people talk about, how hard Kobe worked, talent's a gift from God. Character's a choice. I used to tell that to Alan all the time. And, the harder you work, the luckier you get in anything you do. And I always used to tell Alan, there's so much more you can give to this game if you just act responsible and do some of the things that I would like you to do. It would help us, I think, as coaches and players, and it would give us a better chance to win, and your career would be incredible. And when Kobe passed away, Alan came out with a statement that I think puts things really in perspective. He said, when Kobe was getting up at 6 a.m. to work out, a lot of times I was coming in, just getting in from the club. And, that eats at me a little bit because, my coach's responsibility is to get the very best of the players you coach. And in some ways, when I look at Alan's career and realize I think he only played 12 years, I think of what he could have done if I had done a better job in making him understand the gift he had and the responsibility he had.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.